Neverending Chain by Dragon Translator. You are inquisitive. They arrived as statues frozen mid-run. Screams and chitters abound, coming from every direction. Blurs zipped by. Another Viking stilled. 3 speed stingers rushed a Viking guarding a fallen and still woman. Purple fire slammed stone. The speed stingers halted. A shrill screech reverberated. Astrid watched the speed stingers jerk. They wheeled. Ran away. Astrid glared at the black blur. That was not staying in the shadows. She pointed to the Vikings instead of hollering. They were more important than the new Night Fury. "Grab them!" Astrid ordered. Meatlug and Boulder lifted both. Astrid's eyes narrowed. It was Bainson and his mother. Hilda did not move. Bainson hissed and snarled, but remained still as well. "What now?" Fishlegs asked. "To the cove." Fishlegs nodded. Meatlug and Boulder flew up and out of the village. Astrid looked around. More screams and more chitters. More shrill screeches. Still more Vikings. Roars inland echoed. Dragons rose. A wave of scales and wings thundered towards the village. Astrid welcomed the sight. "Get everyone out!" "Left, I see a mast." Toothless banked left. Hiccup's eyes studied Johann's ship, spying the merchant near to the stack of crates. Toothless hovered over the ship as they landed. "Oh, Master Hiccup, you are a sight for these weary eyes. I almost hopped overboard and walked to Berg." Hiccup smiled, happy to find the man still alive and little worse for wear. "Now you don't have to," he said. "That is, if you don't mind a ride back." "Oh my! Will that be too much for the dragon?" "Why does everyone assume I can't carry?" Johann backed up, looking from Toothless to Hiccup. Hiccup lifted a hand. "It's okay. He's just making noises. He's a very talkative dragon. As for being able to carry you, he's carried myself and my dad at the same time." "Oh, well, then thank you, Master Hiccup. I would relish getting somewhere warm. Had to hunker down below, buried under furs I picked up at Breakneck Bog. Came up only to see if I could sail. I hit ice in every direction. Climb up and grab my shoulders, Johann. We'll get you to Berg and by the fire in the Great Hall in no time at all." "Oh, that does sound lovely," Johann said as he gingerly mounted the dragon and gripped Hiccup's shoulders. Hiccup tapped Toothless's neck. Toothless hopped onto the ship's railing and then lifted into the air. "Oh my!" Johann exclaimed when Toothless levelled out. "I have seen you all ride whenever my travels bring to Berg. But to be here, now, words fail me. Master Hiccup, you have opened a door to something marvellous. Vikings all over need but to be lifted to the clouds, and no dragon would ever be killed again." "If only that was so," Hiccup said sadly, as Toothless banked back towards Berg. "How long will it be before we arrive?" Johann asked. "In time for morning meal. You almost made it." "I see. Well, we shall just have to pass the time with stories of my journeys. I am sure they will warm your heart, Master Hiccup, and stoke the fires of your imagination. Did I ever tell you how I faced off against the man-eating metal masons of Mini Mayori?" Toothless tilted his head. Hiccup stared down at his brother with a resigned look upon his face. Toothless chortled. Hiccup gave his brother a half-hearted glare while Johann droned on, seemingly unaware of the silent exchange between rider and dragon. "Fishlegs," Astrid began. "Go back to the village and make sure we got everyone." "Wait, why me?" In answer, Astrid gestured to the other riders. Snotlout had gotten stung while Hookfang dove to pick up Flemmer. Wingplays caught Snotlout and both dragons made a beeline for the cove. Now Snotlout stood, unable to stop Rough and Tough from using his own hands to smack his face repeatedly. "And what about Gida?" Astrid's eyes narrowed. Fishlegs sighed. Okay, he said. "Let's go, Meatlug." He clambered into the saddle. Boulder glanced up at Astrid. She nodded. Boulder lowered his head but did not spread his wings. He then turned to Meatlug, and when she lifted into the air, he followed her. They rose above the rim of the cove's walls and banked for the village entrance. "What gives you the right to give orders?" a new voice asked. Astrid spun, finding the helmsman from Shivering Shores standing just behind her. She stared at him, eyes narrowed. "I'm Hiccup's second in command of the Dragon Riders." The man frowned. "But it be only Stoic that be stung. The council not take over?" "You are very inquisitive," Astrid said, turning and walking away. To her annoyance, the man walked alongside her. She heard the tread of Stormfly and Windwalker following behind, dragons from the nest, who all came to aid when Iggy and Buttercup reached Lawkeeper and told him of the attack, watched her walk by. She felt their eyes. Before the war, it would have unnerved her. Now it served to give her a measure of safety. Should the helmsman's intention be switched from welcoming to something more unwelcomed, Astrid knew all the dragons would rush to her aid. The helmsman would be lucky if he survived their desire to protect her. "I'm just confused," the man said as they walked through the cove. "Back home, if the chief be unable to chief, his second step in. Far as I've ever known, Gobber be Stoic's second. She be chiefess alongside Hiccup in time," Gobber said, intercepting them. "Might as well get the experience now." Astrid smiled at Gobber, grateful. He tipped his head. Astrid took that moment to slip away. She headed for Gyda and Shadowfire, who sat near to the fireworm's cave. Several of the small dragons dotted the cove floor. Iggy and Buttercup once again proved their insight into what was needed then. They had flown to the caverns and spoken to the older fireworm. Now the small dragons kept everyone warm. Gyda looked up as Astrid sat down. Astrid looked around, finding nobody nearby. She turned back to Gyda. "Where?" In answer, Gyda looked up at the rim above the cave, and then laid her head back against the rock behind her. Astrid sighed. Just after the dragons of the nest arrived, the new Night Fury managed to run the speed stingers out of the village completely. His shrill screech somehow disorientating them, to the point the biggest one squawked, spun, and ran. The pack, which seemed to consist of hundreds, followed. Astrid had no idea if the speed stingers would return, so she did rescind her order that the village be moved to the cove. At least there, they could have a line of dragons around the rim, and the sea opening of the cave. Let the speed stingers come there then. The Night Fury had followed, but seemed willing to remain unseen now. That actually took a weight off of Astrid's shoulders. With the Night Fury out of the cove, there would be less questioning from the Vikings able to move and speak. Right now was not the time for any of that. Right now, everyone needed to regroup. Plans of a counterattack could come after the injured retreated. The unparalysed settled. Inquiries about another of a species once thought so elusive that many believed Toothless was the only one, to wait until the threat was eliminated and the tribe returned to their homes. "How are the hatchlings doing?" Astrid asked, looking around. The Nada and Gronkor Dervla was housing had aided Frostfire and Palewing in getting their hatchlings out of Gyda's house and to the cove. She spied the Nada and Gronkor watching over the Nada's sleeping siblings, halfway down the cove, near to the rock where Hiccup first told Astrid he loved her. Astrid turned back to Gyda, forcing her mind away from that memory. Hiccup was still out with his brothers looking for Johann. Remembering that day would only cause the longing for Hiccup's presence to threaten to overwhelm her. That was something she did not need either. She had to remain strong. She had to keep everything together. She owed it to Hiccup to not let his nest fall apart. She smiled when she found Wildfire and two smaller fireworms chasing each other in the grass. Icewing stayed right beside Shadowfire's foreleg. Shadowfire had his head curled near to Icewing, and he crooned softly to the hatchling. Astrid frowned. She could not see Snowfire. Gyda pointed to her right arm. Astrid tilted her head. Noting Gyda held the arm as if it was broken, and she had to keep it close to her. "He's in there." Everything scared him. Astrid reached over and placed a hand against what she could now see was a lump in the robe's sleeve. A lump the exact size and shape of a small ice terror hatchling. Snowfire jerked, shuffling away on back as best as he could. It's okay, Astrid whispered. Snowfire stopped. He chittered softly. Frostfire hopped onto Astrid's left shoulder, her right sporting Sneaky, who had not left her since Hiccup, Toothless and Sharpshot flew off into the island. Frostfire crooned. Shadowfire's small muzzle poked out. He looked around, then to Astrid, and half whined, half chittered. Frostfire lowered his muzzle to Astrid's ear. He's asking where his alpha is. Hiccup will be back, Astrid assured him in a soft tone. Soon, I hope. End of chapter. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed that one. I love that one because Astrid's properly being the queen of the nest here, showing how much she loves and cares, while also being fierce in her protection. And also, Steinar, the helmsman, is being very inquisitive. And, well, you'll see why in a bit. I mean, we already know that he's doing it for his father, but it's just like, Astrid doesn't know that yet, and so she's being reserved, which I appreciate. Hiccup knows what he's got with that woman. Anyway, you guys all know the drill. Like, comment and subscribe and hit that bell to get notified for whenever I upload a new video. Have a good day, night, or whatever time zone you're in. Bye my guys, girls and my Bino pals. I'll see you in another video. Take care.